What's up, everybody? Tom Pelissero here across the street from Winter Park on Thursday afternoon. Vikings wrapping up their practice week today. Now they get ready for Saturday night's preseason game against Dallas. First game back at the Metrodome since they played Buffalo last December, which is strange to think about, but a very important game for them to begin to evaluating not only who's going to be on the final 53-man roster, but who are going to be the people who are contributing on offense, defense, and special teams on game day. The first two games have been largely about evaluating that gigantic crop of prospects, both undrafted rookies, draft picks, young free agents, street guys that they've picked up, trying to get a gauge on where those guys are. This is going to be the key game in determining exactly not only how the first team offense, first team defense does, but looking at some of those guys who are right on the bubble. How do those guys fit in? And they're going to get a look at that. A number of different battles to watch in this game. Number one being the wide receivers, the fourth and fifth guys. Devin Aramashudu and Greg Camarillo, in my opinion, seem to have put themselves a little bit above the other guys, but it's definitely a thin line, particularly between Camarillo and guys like Joaquin Iglesias, and to a lesser extent Jamar Johnson and Emmanuel Arsenault. All those guys, slightly different skill sets. None of them have really had a breakout sort of a camp. Devin Aramashudu, I think, has done enough that he's probably on the inside track at this point. But watch those guys rolling through with that first team offense. You can bet they're going to plug in a lot of those guys as McNabb and some of the other starters play most of the first half, we think, maybe even a series into the second half. How do those guys work, and at what positions do they work? Aramashudu, you would think, is going to be a guy that can plug in at split end. But do they move him around? Where do they plug in Iglesias? How do they use those guys? Keep an eye on that. At right guard, how does Anthony Herrera fare? It's a huge question, particularly after Scott Koister's injury. Is Herrera going to physically be where he needs to be for them to feel comfortable putting him out there September 11th against San Diego? Here's what I've observed, having watched a lot of the one-on-ones. He's made progress this week. He looks better than he did a week ago, but he still gets off balance at times, still isn't getting that explosion off the line, kind of gets stuck flailing in space. He's always been kind of a scrapper, not somebody who has perfect technique, but you just wonder, is he going to accelerate quickly enough? He certainly made clear to us in speaking with reporters that he thinks he's going to be fine. It wasn't happy with the perception that he's not going to be the same player he once was. But at age 31, coming off a knee reconstruction, not to mention tricep surgery, and a guy who's always had to overcome his own physical limitations. How exactly is he going to come back? And is he going to ramp up quickly enough? The other options, Ryan Cook, who I think has had so many different opportunities, fared okay there down the stretch last season, but probably not a guy you want starting 16 games. And then Chris DeGear, who we've seen over the past 2 days start to get a few more reps at right guard. He's not out of that mix, and I still am of the opinion, having watched him the final 4 games of last season, I think he can be a starting guard in the NFL. Just is he going to be consistent enough? The number 3 cornerback spot and the weak side linebacker spot, kind of similar situations. Chris Cook at this point is basically running unopposed, and as I wrote a couple of weeks ago, they need him to be the third guy, the outside corner. When Antoine Winfield kicks inside in the nickel defense, they want him to be the guy. He has the skill set. He definitely made progress from preseason game number 1 to preseason game number 2. Does he continue that? Does he continue to put himself in a position where coaches say, we're safe there? Asher Allen's got a toe injury. Marcus Sherrills is not a good fit outside. Brandon Burton can play outside, but has real physical limitations. They want Cook to be the guy. They just need to make sure he is. Same thing with Aaron Henderson. Henderson's been more up and down, or I guess as up and down as Chris Cook has. The difference there is he really hasn't had any competition. Jasper Brinkley has been quite obviously not the same guy. He's been dealing with a hip flexor. It was really apparent watching him both in games and practices. He was having trouble pulling the trigger. And if Jasper Brinkley can do one thing, it's hit somebody, it's tackle. He was getting to the point to make plays. He was not exploding into those plays. It was obvious something was wrong. He's not going to play in this game. Kenny Anatalu has missed about 3 weeks. He's finally back this week after the stress fracture in his foot, but it may be a little late for him to put in any sort of charge. Heath Farwell's also out. That's given an opportunity to a guy like Larry Dean, who's been on a couple of first-team special team units. But Aaron Henderson, pretty clearly the guy at weak side linebacker. I just don't know how good they feel about Aaron Henderson at this point, a weak side linebacker, seeing some of the same things that they've been harping on him on from day one to become more consistent. Is he making enough progress where they feel good about that, or do they keep one eye out there on the waiver wire on cut-down day, perhaps look at somebody else who can come in and play 50% of the snaps? Strong safety, I think Jamarcus Sanford's going to start this week over Tyrell Johnson. At least that's the way it seems it's going to go. But they could be in and out. They're going to take a long look at both of them. Leslie Frazier seems to be of the opinion that they've played better than I thought that they have. It's strange evaluating safeties in the Tampa 2 defense because they do play so many deep zones. They're not in the position to be around the ball a ton. but I think the guy who ends up being more consistent is probably the one they're going to feel more comfortable with. And you still can't rule out Mistral Raymond, kind of the dark horse in that competition. Is he going to be somebody like Hussein Abdullah did, who we didn't consider to be a candidate to start until he was in the starting lineup in week 1? Those are all things that they're going to have to look at. I think you also have the number 2 quarterback job that remains up in the air at this point. Joe Webb's going to take the second team reps this week over Christian Ponder, even though it appeared Ponder took probably more of the second team reps in practice the first few days of this week. Ponder's kind of been all over the place. His accuracy's really wavered. It remains to be seen if he's going to accelerate his progress enough. I think they want to get him in the offense. They want him running the second team offense, not the scout team in practice during the season. But bottom line, you have to have the guy in the number 2 spot that you feel comfortable with if you had to throw him directly into a game. At this point, Ponder hasn't done enough to prove that he can be that guy. And on some level, I'm sure coaches also don't want to see him stop working or relax or exhale in any way. Not that Ponder would do that, but I think that you also want to make sure that he's continuing to progress at the rate that you want him to. One other thing to watch, some of the rookies, particularly on special teams. Looking at the special teams rotations and the way they've used those guys in practice this week, it's obvious they want to take a look at a few different guys and see what some different people can do on special teams. Some guys are going to make this team on special teams. Look at the case of Heath Farwell. He's due $1.75 million this season. He turns 30 in December. He's not a young guy. He's paid a lot for a special teams guy, and he hasn't been healthy. Suffered a setback with his hamstring apparently yesterday in practice. Didn't practice today. Won't play in the game. If a guy like a Larry Dean can step up and show that he can be in that role, you wonder, as you look at the numbers as well as the performance and health, could somebody like that come in and take away a job? The first punt team today included Mistral Raymond, Ryan D'Imperio, Alan Reisner, Devin Aramashadu, and Matt Asiata. 3 of those guys, Asiata, Reisner, two of those guys, Reisner and Asiata, are undrafted rookies. D'Imperio was a 7th round pick last year, Raymond a 6th round pick this year. Those are the guys who are going to be on that bubble line. I think Mistral Raymond makes the team. I think Ryan D'Imperio, if he makes the team, is going to do it because they feel as though they have to keep a fullback. I don't think he's shown anything to this point to say that he deserves a spot on the roster. And look at Matt Asiata. Even though he missed a week and a half with a hip flexor, he's still in the mix. They like him a lot. They like his versatile sort of a skill set. And Alan Reisner, every single day, undrafted rookie tight end out of Iowa, every day he makes 1 play, 2 plays, 3 plays that make you go, oh my goodness, that guy someday is going to be playing in the NFL. It's an odd year. You're going to have a lot more guys ending up on the cutting block because teams are going to go from 90 players all the way down to 53 players in a span of about a week. That's a whole bunch of guys. Whatever 37 times 32 is, that's how many guys are going to be hitting the waiver wire all at once. Would a guy like that be less likely to be picked up on waivers if they do try to slip him through to the practice squad? I tend to think so, but ultimately teams are going to be doing their evaluations, looking at the tape, comparing what they have to what's out there. Some of those guys are going to get plucked away. Will the Vikings have learned a lesson from Mickey Schuler, or are they going to roll the dice again with a very intriguing tight end prospect? We'll have to find out. I'll be at the Dome on Saturday night, so will Judd Zolgad. I'm sure another few people from 1500 ESPN as well. And full coverage, as always, of the Vikings at 1500ESPN.com. See you.